A big welcome to all you brave people as you get ready to take on the ascent of Notre Dame Cathedral here in Strasbourg. Sitting on the banks of the Rhine, the city prospered, amassing riches coveted by many. Assailed from all sides, its ramparts fell and its stones crumbled to dust. But from the ruins rose hope. What the city needed was a guardian, a valiant, indomitable custodian who would keep it safe from harm. And so the cathedral was born, a grande dame of stone, reaching for the heavens. Building began, first by the Germans, then successively by the French, Protestants, and Catholics. And here it stands today, tall and proud, defying the passage of time. Though it's been brought to its knees on various occasions, the cathedral has never failed to rise again. Now, it's inviting you in. Listen, and you'll hear the secrets of its builders, past and present. From up high, you'll get a sense of what Victor Hugo meant when he said,
"A marvel of the gigantic and the delicate. I'd seen Chartres, I'd seen Antwerp. All that was missing was Strasbourg."
Grab your tickets! It's time to embark on an exhilarating adventure through Notre Dame. Werner of Habsburg, a young bishop from Strasbourg, refused to be cowed by quarrels among the royals. So, what if his cathedral had been burnt to the ground? He'd just build another one, and this time, he'd make it much, much bigger. In 1015, he laid the first stone, starting a project of gargantuan proportions. Let storms come thundering down, let the wind and rain lash at its walls. The cathedral stood its ground. An indomitable lady. Her builders kept a watchful eye over her, repairing and even straightening her, until a second fire brought her down in 1276. This time, it wasn't a case of filling in holes. The entire church had to be rebuilt. So why not take the chance to give it a fresh new look? Back then, Romanesque architecture was at its peak. Strasbourg Cathedral could not be allowed to lag behind. A horde of workers were called in to erect the new cathedral, including masons, stonecutters, sculptors, blacksmiths, carpenters, and master glass makers. They raised stone balls and opened bays through which the light came filtering in. They rebuilt the crypt and the choir on the eastern tip of the cathedral. And they also rebuilt the transept. That's the part which makes the building cross-shaped. Out with the old and in with the new. Change came sweeping through, and as work went on, the 12th century ticked past. The nave was next in line for a facelift. But by that time, it was the 1230s, and the Romanesque style was getting a bit old hat. Enter the Gothic. Newly arrived from Île-de-France, this brand of architecture took Alsace by storm, bringing with it a quiver of new techniques. The cathedral walls rose ever higher, adorned with pointed arches and buttresses. Look at this copper roof! It's green all over! The vaults below reach a height of 32 meters. That's about half the height of the platform you're climbing. Come on, you can do it! You're almost there! Bays were opened up and adorned with colorful stained glass windows. You'll see a host of biblical adventures and exploits illuminated in them. Noah and his ark, the great King Solomon, Christ and his apostles. And of course, no cathedral worthy of its name lacks a majestic front door. After all, that's where it opens to the world. Who were the architects? The first remain anonymous. Then came Erwin de Steinbach, who passed the torch down to his descendants. And so on through the generations, until the first tower floors were completed in 1365. It was a family affair. On the whole, The cathedral's architects and craftsmen remained in the shadows, and that's where they'll stay forevermore. But their cathedral is in the spotlight, a shining reward for each individual in the long chain of builders.
Psst, let me tell you a secret. Look closely and you'll see signs in the stone. A double V here, for example. And look, there it is again, upside down with a line across the top. There are signatures, sneakily marking the stones for all time.
Dear friends, now that you know how the cathedral came to be, I'll meet you at the top. Look around as you make your way up the stairs. Take in all the details and cast your eyes over Strasbourg down below. My dear cathedral explorers, can you guess what these giant tread wheels, known as roues d'écureuil, French for squirrel wheels, were for? Two workers would get in and walk to turn the wheel, which would then pull the central rope. Yes, that's right. It's a winch, the biggest one in Alsace. It could hoist almost 2 tons of material. With this ingenious system, no wonder our cathedral reached such heights.
Look up, my friends. High up, all the way up there.
What a splendid spire! The 8th wonder of the world. Completed in 4039. It was actually the tallest monument in Europe, right up until the 19th century, at an incredible height of 142 meters. But it came close to being pulled down. The year was 1794. The reign of terror period of the French Revolution was in full swing, and equality was on everybody's lips. The cathedral was a mismatch.
Obviously, I mean, it's not even symmetrical. The tall tower and the spire at the northern end don't have any counterparts on the south side, where you came in. Shameful. Surely, it's not fair for one tower to be taller than the other.
The sans-culottes, the revolutionaries that is, were ruthless too. Rather than build a second tall tower topped by a spire, they decided to get rid of the spire altogether. But a locksmith saved the day, coming up with a brilliant idea at the last moment.
Instead of tearing it down, why not put a cap on it? A Phrygian cap, like that worn by the revolutionaries. And so, the spire donned a bright red tin plate cap and wore it for the next 6 years. Mission accomplished. Spire saved.
Another thing that put our spire in peril was its weight. The foundations had to bear a hefty 7,500 tons, counting the tower, and they're starting showing cracks. So, in 1906, consolidation work began, led by German architect Johann Knaut. It was completed by Charles Pierre and Clément Dauchy after the First World War. This colossal project took 20 years and a lot of enthusiasm from both sides of the Rhine. The spire was safe again.
European cooperation of this kind has become part of the cityscape. From here, you can see the European Parliament, the Council of Europe, the European Court of Human Rights, and other institutions. To the east, you can see the crossing tower, just above the rooftops. Look at the octagonal bays dating back to Romanesque times.
Would you believe, to restore the columns of the crossing tower's gallery in the 2000s, the stonemasons used a tool originally employed by the ancestors in the 12th century, the polka. What loyalty the builders have shown throughout the years.
They even took care to preserve the print of a cannonball that hit in 1678. Dear friends, before you take the stairs down again, go back to the guard's house, through the left door, and step straight into the mid-19th century.
Welcome. My name's Charles Bartholomew. I'm a guard at Notre Dame. And I can tell you that looking over the rooftops of Strasbourg like this beats staring at shoe leather every day. That's right. I started out as a shoemaker. I was up to my eyeballs in the stuff when I was mending shoes. But if you think I'm just lazing about here and enjoying the view, think again. I'm here on watch, like any guard worth his salt since the 15th century. Fires often happen here, and with all the half-timbered houses in the city, they're an absolute nightmare. So I've got my lantern, a flag, and a loudspeaker, and I'm always ready to sound the alarm. Each of the city districts has its own ring. It's 3 shots of the tocsin for the 3rd canton, for example. When my legs get too tired, I've got the fainéant, that means lazy. It's a kind of idler stool with only 1 foot. Not much good for taking a nap. We're not allowed to do that anyway. It's in the rules. Same as dice or betting. We have to behave impeccably or we get punished. For example, one of the boys did 15 days in the slammer for fighting with another guard. This job's no walk in the park, I tell you. In the daytime, the platform's buzzing with people, families who come to picnic on Sundays, tourists from all over the world. I keep them in my sights and sometimes I even act as tour guide.
S'il vous plaît, votre attention.
Some of the guards were once stonemasons. For a few coins, they'd engrave the names of visitors on the walls.
Kylian Mbappé.
But that's been forbidden since the 19th century.
And now it's allowed again, but only in the digital visitor's book. So go ahead, my friends. Leave your name for posterity, just like Victor Hugo and Goethe. Time to make our way downstairs again. Head to the spire tower and admire the vault for a moment. Looking around, you've probably noticed a bit of scaffolding here and there.
It can't be helped. The cathedral is a very old lady indeed. Work hasn't really ever stopped since it was first built. Each century adds its own touch, both indoors and out. Nowadays, it's all about conservation and restoration. Long words for really quite a simple purpose: to prolong the building's life and make it accessible to the public without diminishing its authenticity and importance. This type of work blends technical and scientific innovations with traditional craftsmanship. There's one last thing I'd like to tell you about. An institution that's as old as the stones themselves. Founded in the 13th century, the Fondation de l'œuvre Notre Dame has been working behind the scenes to look after the cathedral throughout the ages, right through to the present day. And there's always been plenty of work to do. Yes, it really is one of a kind in France. It has its own permanent workshop and operates alongside the state to serve the cathedral. The conservation and restoration work is financed by the foundation's land holdings and real estate assets, along with the proceeds from your visit.
It also has splendid collections, plaster casts, photographs, cathedral stones, and even the oldest architectural drawings of the cathedral building. If you're interested, check them out at the Œuvre Notre Dame Museum, just round the corner.
I have one last secret to reveal. You won't be surprised to hear that the cathedral is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. But did you know that the foundation and its expertise are also listed as intangible cultural heritage in this case. Like a guardian angel, the Fondation Œuvre Notre Dame will keep watching over Strasbourg Cathedral, come rain or shine.